Hi everybody, it's Trudy, One Grounded Angel. This is my weekly angel card video for the week beginning April the 23rd through to the 29th, 2018. And I want to begin by apologising so much for last week's video. I didn't realise, because I don't listen back to them, they make me cringe, but people told me the sound disturbance was so bad. I listened to it myself. I was like, I can hardly hear it myself, and I know what I'm saying. So I'm really sorry that that video went up with such... it was really hard to hear, and I don't know that many of you got that much value from it, so I do apologise for that. As you can see, I'm using a different microphone this week because the issue wasn't the sound outside my building, it was actually the microphone. The buzzing interference was coming from that, so I'm using the regular iPhone microphone speakers, or I don't know what you call it, headset, and it seems to be working. I've tested it, so fingers crossed. Yeah, I'm really sorry about that. I also want to tell you about this Sunday, the 29th, we have a Scorpio full moon, which can bring up a lot of intense emotions for people because it is an intense sign. It's also one of the most intuitive signs. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. Also, because the full moon is a time of intense emotions anyway. The moon is associated with emotions, and when it's at its peak, you can get this rising up of things. The thing about Scorpio is it's associated with things that are hidden, so because it's ruled by the planet, or co-ruled by the planet Pluto, and Pluto is all about things that are hidden, what's going on underneath. So Scorpios make excellent investigators and reporters because they're very good at noticing what's not being said in a conversation, what's going on underneath the surface. So if there are things that you have buried, you might find them all up in your grill this week. You might find family secrets can come up, not necessarily family, but it's just an example. So it can be an intense time. The other thing about Scorpio is it's associated, well, I mentioned intuitive ability. It's also associated with sexual energy. So if there are any issues with the way you use sexual energy, those can come up. And, you know, that's obviously, intimacy is also obviously associated with connection. So all those sorts of things can come to the fore. But I just wanted to let you know, if you are dealing with intense emotions, firstly, remember it will pass. I know sometimes that energy around a full moon can last for, you know, up to 2 weeks until the next new moon. But for most people, it doesn't last that long. Obviously, if you're a water sign, you might be feeling it intensely. That's the Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer. And of course, if you're Cancer, you tend to probably get knocked around a lot by the moon because you are ruled by the moon. So I was about that. But one thing you can do to deal with that is, because Scorpio is a creative sign, you might find it helpful to use a journal just to write down what's going on. You want to get it out of here and just kind of expunge it in some way. Writing it down without judgment can help you sort of purge in that way. It will pass. Remember that Scorpio is also symbolized by the phoenix, so that whole thing of rising from the ashes. And so when you are down in those kind of darker places, know that you will rise, and that usually that's coming up so you can work through it. Things come up for us so that we can find our way through, and then we move past, and it's that whole thing of looking for the lesson, and then that's your way through. So you will rise from it, usually when you've figured out the lesson from within that, which is something I talk about a lot. Anyway, now that I've spent 3.5 minutes talking about astrology, let's start shuffling the cards. This is for Monday the 23rd, and I'm using the Goddess Guidance Oracle cards here, which depicts goddesses from Celtic, Egyptian, Hindu, Nordic, all sorts of West African even. There are a lot of different goddesses here. That was really weird, but basically the card just flipped itself over within the deck. Anyway, this is the one we need. Mary Magdalene. There is a movie coming out about Mary Magdalene soon. It might even be out now. I'm not sure, but it's interesting. She was she's one of the most misunderstood kind of deities, I guess, because she was essentially slut-shamed and depicted as a prostitute, which is not by the church, which is not accurate at all. She actually represents compassion, non-judgment, all those sort of things. So those are almost like a Kuan Yin kind of energy here. And in this particular card, it's about unconditional love. So it is about seeing past those initial judgments, particularly when you're in a situation of conflict or tension with other people. looking past their politics and looking and trying to see their humanity and recognizing that everybody is doing the best they can in any given situation with the knowledge that they have. Just because you might be a little bit further along the path or whatever, it doesn't make you superior and it doesn't make them inferior. So everybody's doing the best they can, and just really dropping that judgment. I am getting very strongly, this is in particular regarding conflict situations. You don't have to have people agreeing with you in order for there to be a resolution. Sometimes it's just about making peace with where things are at, and understanding that someone not sharing your viewpoints or behaving the same way you would doesn't make them lesser or greater than, or try and take out that element of competition or comparison. I think is really important in those situations, because the reality is we're all different, and that's just kind of the deal with being human. So Tuesday the 24th of April, really awkward kind of shuffling here. This is the Archangel Oracle cards. That was really weird. I don't know what happened there, but I am getting a sense this is the right card. Patience. Now, what I love about this card, well, I love several things. One of them is that it depicts gardening, and gardening is such a beautiful analogy for the way that we sow seeds for our dreams. We tend to them with watering, we pull out the weeds, and then they bloom, but not on our schedule. We've got no say in when they come to fruition. So this card is asking you to be patient with that process. So, you know, set your goals and keep working away at them. Don't be disheartened if they're not coming to fruition just yet. I've talked about this a lot, but we're in a society that expects instant results, and, you know, we can order food and it can be at our doorstep really quickly. We don't have to wait for anything anymore, and that's a real struggle. But the fact is that it takes time for things to come through, especially if they are a long-held dream and you need to keep working at it. This card is asking you not to give up. Keep tending to those dreams and staying on track. Oh yes, also the Archangel on this card, because that particular card deck has several cards devoted to each Archangel. This is Archangel Jophiel, who is associated with beautifying things. So almost like a Venus kind of energy here, and very much associated with flowers, because of course they do make things beautiful. So I personally call on Archangel Jophiel when I'm struggling with negativity and sort of getting myself into a point where those negative thoughts are starting to get on top of me, because it's okay to be negative. I don't think it's possible to be positive all the time, and that's why you know, there's been such a backlash to the happiness movement. I'm about to sneeze. Oh dear, that would have sounded terrible in your ears. I'm so sorry. But maybe there was a point to that. Maybe someone needs to be drawn attention to that. Maybe I do. But anyway, what I do is I ask Archangel Jophiel to beautify my thoughts so that I can more easily weed out those negative thoughts and call them out for what they are. It's okay to be negative, but you want to make sure they don't start piling on top of you. You want to, you know, be able to turn things around so you can move forward. I hope that made sense. I went a bit off track there. Nothing unusual. Now, I'm using a different card deck today. I'm not very familiar with it. This is a bit of a risk. Already a card's come up. This is called the Soul Coaching Oracle Cards by Denise Lynn. I've only used them a few times. I'm not familiar with them all. I'm certainly not familiar with this, but I'm going to tune in. The card is fulfillment. And what I'm noticing, first of all, is that there is a flower. So I just talked about flowers and blooming and blossoming and those kind of ideas. So that's not a coincidence. There's no such thing as coincidence. So that's really following on from that idea about how we can, how things are coming into bloom in our lives, as long as we are able to tend to those with positive thoughts and keeping the faith. So the card is more about joy in a sense, and it's there's actually a heart being emphasized around here as well. And really those messages that we had last week about remembering to focus on the things that are working on in our lives, the joy, what's good. I always use that quote about focusing on the donut, not on the whole, because we do have that tendency to go, what's missing, what's not right, what can I fix, instead of actually looking at what's working and really celebrating that. So the card with the word fulfillment is really saying there's nothing missing in your life. Sure, there are probably things that you want to bring in, and that's why you have set goals, but it doesn't mean intrinsically that your life is lacking right now. It just means that you're on a path to creating something else, but it's really important that you celebrate what you have right now. There's a great Abraham Hicks quote that says, the reason that we don't have, the reason that it's really hard to get the things you want to get is because if you are not enjoying what you have right now, I've totally got this quote wrong, by the way, but what it's saying is you need to be happy with what you have right now while reaching for more. And, the analogy I often use with that is if you are wanting to lose weight and you are sending your body messages about how much you hate your body and you, really horrible messages about how everything's wrong with you and you don't like the way you look, it's going to be really hard for you to get to that point. But if you nurture your body, you celebrate it, you love it, and you want to, you focus on trying to get into shape and making it stronger and healthier, it's more likely to respond. So if you start from a place of, I don't like what I have and who I am, it's going to be really difficult for you to get to the point that you want to get to. So you really need to start with that point. And the same with relationships. If you think that your life is incomplete because you don't have a partner, you're going to really struggle to bring someone in. But if you can be happy on your own and love your life, you're going to raise your vibration and you're going to attract a really good quality partner then from that energetic vibration. So I will find that Abraham Hicks quote, and put it up again actually on Instagram because it is really powerful and I don't think I explained it very well there. Okay, Thursday is harmony. I mentioned Venus before. Venus is the planet associated with harmony as well as love and balance. So, and a few other things. But harmony is one of those things that is largely misunderstood because we think that in order for things to be peaceful, they need to be completely in balance. And the reality is that a bit like that whole work-life balance nonsense in the corporate world, which is totally just a crock because it's not possible. The whole pursuit of having things perfect is intrinsically flawed. And this card asks you to in order to get into harmony in your life, don't look at what's missing and try to fix that, but try and look at what's working and really put more energy there. So energy flows where attention goes. So again, it's about where you're putting your focus. I feel that's a strong theme for this week. Where you're focusing, it's going to send more energy towards that. And, when we focus on gratitude and on the blessings that we have, we attract more of them. So in a way, this is kind of reiterating that message. For some of you also, this is bringing forward the message that you are moving into a state of, if you've been in a state of flux or of tension and I'm seeing like a staticky kind of energy. I was going to say tension, but it's not quite right. But maybe tension not with other people, but the tension of how you are interacting with the world, perhaps. You're moving into a state of greater peace, that, if I can put it like that. But remember, of course, you've got to be an active player in that process in terms of your mindset. That's one way we have a major impact on what we attract. You can't be passive. With all these cards, you can't be passive and just expect things to show up. So the universe always responds to action, and that's why it's really important that we help ourselves when we're asking for help as well. So higher education is going to mean different things to different people. For some of you, I'm getting a very strong green light here that for those of you who have been thinking about going back to school or university or college, wherever in the world you are, what you call it, you need to do that. And some of you, I feel like you've been delaying that for a couple of years as well. And I want to say, if there are issues around resources such as money, maybe child minding or something like that, ask the angels to help you and they will provide the means for you to do it because you really need to do it. Now, for others of you, it's not so much about what I would call formal education. It's more about your education that you're participating in by being in this world. So some of you are being called to step up a bit. There's a a purple kind of outline around this card. You're not going to be able to see this very well. I don't know why I'm showing you, but I really am seeing that as being symbolic of the energy around you. When you engage actively in a process of learning more, things start to shift for you. So some of you are getting pushed to do more learning in terms of, it might be reading books, it might be be courses or something like that. But some of you, I feel like there are lessons in your life that you're maybe not getting, and you might be in a bit of a loop. That word is getting emphasized, that loop. Things are repeating. You're attracting the same type of person. You're getting in the same type of jobs aren't serving you, that sort of thing. There's something that you're not getting about that situation, something you need to learn, and then you'll go up a level. I hope that makes sense. I feel like it probably doesn't, but I would say if that message about, formal education doesn't resonate with you, Brian Weiss talks about this being an earth school. We're all here to learn and grow. And so are you actively engaging in that process of learning, or are you staying stuck? So if you feel like you're stagnant, why is that? Is it because there are things in your life that you are not paying attention to, that you need to be paying attention to, or that you are not, or you're refusing to learn because you want things to happen on your terms, for example? That's a big way we keep ourselves stuck. That's just an example. So shuffling for Saturday now, the 28th. Ooh. Be willing to forgive. Now, I am going to go a bit rogue here because my understanding of the word forgiveness has altered a little bit. So normally, in the past when I got this card, I would talk to you a lot about how, forgiving someone means being more at sort of swapping bitterness for peace so that you don't hold grudges. But what I've found in my own life and with people I've worked with, that sometimes it's just not possible to let things go because there are underlying issues going on with that. So I'll speak to it generally, and then I'll go into that deeper stuff. But there is an Archangel Raphael symbol on this card. He's associated with healing. So primarily this card is about emotional healing. So interestingly, because we're heading into a Scorpio full moon, which is about reinvention and transformation, as I mentioned, I'm getting a sense that for many of you, the way to lift yourself up, to do that rising I mentioned, is letting go of some of these kind of long-running wounding sort of issues. I'm getting a sense it's long-running stuff. Scorpio is associated a lot with past lives as well. This could be some past life wounding that you've brought through. So forgiveness, it might be that if you are holding a grudge against someone, you might be getting called to move on from that. And if that's something you can do by a forgiveness meditation, which you might find on YouTube, or you could write a letter to someone and pour out your feelings and rip it up, or burn it if that's safe, that can be helpful. The reason that I found that helpful myself is because often when we have a resentment against someone, it's because we feel like they haven't understood us, they haven't heard us out, we haven't been allowed to speak or share our feelings, which is certainly the case in a relationship that has ended where it wasn't mutual, it wasn't your decision. So I recommend doing that. But if we're talking about that really long-running kind of stuff, I would interpret this as not so much about forgiveness, but as about changing the energy around that and really facing up to those issues and how they're shaping your life. Because ideally, we'd be able to totally move on, but it's just not that easy sometimes. If someone has really hurt you badly, or perhaps repeatedly, there could be some stuff that you need to face up to there. So look at where the wounding is. That's what I would take from this, and maybe take some steps. Maybe you need to see a counsellor. Maybe it's some energy healing you need to do to kind of address that stuff. So rather than forgiveness, for some of you, it might be more about your own healing. Be willing to face up to that stuff. I think that's really appropriate as well, the day before a Scorpio full moon. Actually, it might even be on the Saturday night in this part of the world, in Australia and New Zealand, because of the time zones. I'm not sure. I've taken it as the 29th because the guides I tend to follow often in American time zones, but I'm not sure. You need to check your time zone, but you can do that easily. Timeanddate.com always has the time of the full moon, but remember that the time that it's kind of is at its peak isn't really that relevant because the energy is building leading up to it, and as I said, it can last for up to 2 weeks afterwards. Sunday, the tribe. This is that beautiful card deck called Wisdom of the Oracle Divination. I can never say that word. I'm not going to say it. It's by Colette Baron-Reed, and the illustrations are just divine. And the tribe is about belonging. It's about the way you feel a part of the world. Now, so many of us are trying to fit in when we're born to stand out. It's a really strange thing that we have this idea. I think it's partly our ideas about safety, that if we are living the same way as what we perceive is normal or what we perceive other people are doing, that we're going to feel safe and like that we matter. And that's just not, in spiritual truth, that's just not the deal. We're here to live our own way, and for some people, it really is a struggle to go against the grain because they feel that there's too much risk involved and they are so wired to pleasing other people, particularly mums. It can be very difficult for them, but this is reassuring you that, well, the card doesn't say this, but I say this. It's really important to do your own thing, but remember that you always, that doesn't take you out of alignment with other people. You still have a sense of belonging and you still are very valuable. So many people feel lonely in this world, and in a world where we've got social media, we're supposed to feel more connected than ever, but research shows that loneliness is becoming a huge health issue because, of course, it has consequences on our heart health. It is a major contributor to cardiovascular disease and plenty of other things as well. So loneliness is a big issue, and this card is really letting you know, firstly, you're not alone. You have angels with you. And secondly, that there is a tribe out there for you. If it's not among the people that you're spending time with, you can find it. And the internet actually is a really great way to find that. Meet up groups that are interested in whatever you're interested in. You can find ways to connect with other people. So just because you may feel like you're not in alignment with the mainstream does not mean that you are out of alignment with people in general and that you're a weirdo and there's something wrong with you. Although I do tend to call myself a weirdo, and I'm actually quite proud of that because I think I would rather be myself than suffer the pain of trying to fit in somewhere that I just don't fit in. And I, as a teenager, and particularly in my 20s, that was something I really struggled with. There's a Lady Gaga quote that, you laugh at me because I'm different, but I laugh at you because you're all the same. So, she's someone who's definitely not afraid to be herself. And she's an Aries, so you can definitely see why that I'm doing it my way kind of stuff comes through for her. And, if you don't feel like this card is asked, or if you don't feel like those messages about going your own way are resonating for you, the card is at its heart asking you to connect with those around you. So look for who your people are. If you're one of those people who spreads yourself too thin and tries to please other people, think about who are your tribe, the people who you could call at 2 a.m. with a flat tire, and they would drop everything and come and help you. So you're going to find that's a pretty short list. So the people that you're running around trying to please are probably not going to be the people who would reciprocate for you. So remember who your people are and try and connect with them, have some honest conversations with them, and make space, really listen to them when they're talking. Try not to please them, but just try to be there for them. Often one of the mistakes we make is we try to solve people's problems when actually our job is just to listen and to be a witness to other people's suffering. It's not our job to fix them. Gosh, I really have gone off on a tangent here. I don't know if there's much more to say, but I do think this message about belonging is really important for all of us because we are feeling increasingly disconnected. And Brene Brown talks about this a lot. We forget about people's humanity because we keep looking at their politics and you're not like me, you don't believe in what I believe in, therefore you're not part of this, you're not someone I connect with, and that's a real trap. Okay, way off track. So I mentioned that focusing on what we're grateful for and what is working in our lives is a big theme here in terms of this fulfillment card. And the harmony as well. We've also got some stuff around wounding, I would say, with this forgiveness and the tribe. I don't know that not feeling connected is necessarily an emotional wound as such, but it's certainly something that can cause an emotional disharmony, if I could call it that. And some messages about, I think this one here, Mary Magdalene, and this one, end one, about the tribe are connected in terms of the way we relate to other people and the way we accept them and are at peace with the way other people are, living their lives. So I always like to add a disclaimer with messages about that. This doesn't mean you should put up with bad treatment. So if someone is treating you badly, absolutely you don't have to put up with that, and you shouldn't. But it does mean when we're expecting other people to live by our standards and our expectations, you are setting yourself up for some pain there, and you're also putting yourself on a bit of a pedestal, and it's really not up to you to say how other people should live. Certainly that's why I never try and force this stuff on anyone. I just put the messages out there, and however you take them is up to you. That's it for the week. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you can hear everything I've been saying. My delightful Kiwi accent has come through loud and strongly. I'll put each of these on my Facebook and my Instagram pages. My Instagram is at @OneGroundedAngel. That's ONE, not the number one. And my Facebook page is also called One Grounded Angel. I will try and post, where appropriate, quotes and articles that support the cards. And don't forget to tune in again next week where I'll read for you again. Take care, everybody. Have a fantastic week.